If I had multiple cakes.
This is that Casey aura, bro. So fucking funny when I saw this in the first look to the episode before the episode aired. This is the guy that just did his big one, plotted revenge on Aniya, talked nonstop negativity about Aniya, came back, let TT do the fighting for him, did not stick up for TT when she was getting yelled at, can't man up now and have a one-on-one with Aniya. Now he's in the spotlight trying to talk smack to all the girls, and his voice cracks.
Multiple cakes.
What's up, everybody? I struggle watched last night's episode of Love Island USA. It was a tough one for me. I'm a Pisces. I'm a very empathetic person. Like in real life with my loved ones, my partner, my mom, friends. If something's going bad in their lives, I'm going to feel it. It's going to ruin my whole day, maybe days. But even on a TV show, I don't really want to see someone have major breakdowns. It's impossible for me to not feel bad. And watching Aniya's breakdown for a night was not the kind of television that I enjoy to watch. You know, all this crying about bullying and victims, even though the show continues to disprove those theories all the time. And yet, I feel like when something actually emotionally draining is happening in these episodes, I don't feel like there's enough, like, what the fuck? Why must we watch this shit? And regarding Aniya's breakdown, despite what some don't know shit losers try to say about Aniya being so emotional, this was only the third time she's cried this season, which is low on the pull of some of the other women this season. This, however, was quite the sob from her. And then we had Parmida yapping about the Villa girls' ages, and Parmida may be 27, but I still think she is a pathetic loser with this Corbin relationship because she is too old to put herself in a position to be played by 22-year-old Corbin. But yeah, the Casa girls were laughing with Casey and his lack of empathy. But you don't see mean girl, bully, accusation, think pieces about the Casa girls. But another reason I hate the bully word is it keeps people from confronting issues head on instead of being fake and always talking behind people's backs like Casey and the Casa Trollops. Melanie then showed us that she is quite an amazing friend to Aniya, and it was good to see because early on all we saw with Aniya was her being friends to people and especially to Melanie, and now Melanie was showing what it is really like to pour into someone for real, not for fake, like Casey likes to preach that he did. This was actually pouring into a person who needed pouring into in a really low moment. Melanie told Aniya that this was her biggest blessing, and it was in more ways than one, in more ways than Aniya even knows. I wouldn't wish Casey on my worst enemy. Couldn't imagine having to date that loser in the real world where there are not cameras to catch all of his bullshit. Melanie said that Casey doesn't fit Aniya's lifestyle and she would be playing Build-A-Bear with that bitch, and was correct about that. One thing about Melanie, though, it'd be nice if she could have this energy for herself, because she was doing amazing building up of Aniya here. When it's words that she can speak to her own situation with sincere, sadly. I do hope both women can learn their worth after their low moments on this television show. Aniya spent the night crying in soul ties. Melanie went to go check on her again. Trinity, not as much. I think Trinity really did wish that Aniya was open to Carl, more open to Carl, which is what Trinity had been trying to tell her all of last week. So I do understand Trinity's frustrations, even though I don't think Trinity was upset that, Aniya was crying or anything. I just think she was less wanting to pour into her than Melanie here. Melanie told her that Casey is acting like a baby, and then Trinity was talking about the sisterhood in the villa, which was cracking me up because, again, there was too much bully word being thrown around over the weekend. Casa recouplings are always tense, and the Casa girls were not innocent. The Casa girls have been talking shit about the Villa girls since they came into the show. They were sitting there talking shit about Kenzie. And like I said, anyone calling Aniya a bully is insane. There's zero evidence to back this up this entire show. You can't just say things without actual evidence. I mean, you can, but it's just you're acting like Fox News if that's the case. And good luck with that. Kayda says Casey's a bitch, and she is right because that is how he acted for the rest of this episode. Casey was laughing to Titi about it all being ridiculous, again showing no empathy. As we discussed yesterday, another problem with all the red pill content that these young guys are clearly watching is that you truly lose empathy for others, but especially for women, and you can really see that in Casey and Corbin. Casey talking about how he's picking himself, which is true if only he would have went about it without being a fake ass. He talked about it being 3 days in all. My thing with this connection with Titi is she is the same woman who got upset with Casey after 24 hours when he wanted to go explore with Sydney. She got so upset that the other guys said it was worse. It was a worse reaction than Aniya, because Aniya only shed a few tears one time, and Titi was acting crazy. The stupidest thing in this conversation was somehow not Casey, though. It was Titi saying Casey held his own. And I'm just like, why are we lying? Titi had to speak for Casey 85% of that time when they came back from Casa together. And then he's talking about how he's happy she spoke up for him. Of course he is. He didn't want to fight his own battles. Because as we see again in this episode, he is not good at facing things face to face. She says it doesn't matter if the whole world is against them. Well, that's about the only fuel that they're going to have for this relationship outside of the villa. If they are going to try and survive outside of the show, they're going to have this us against the world mentality. Except unlike Taylor, Casey does not have a rich family and all this land to keep Titi happy. Gall brought Aniya breakfast. Casey shaded fake ass omelets. I would love to give Casey the benefit of the doubt here and say that this was editing and it wasn't him talking shit about the omelet Gall made for Aniya. I could see that being the case. But unfortunately, we have established that this man, Casey, hates Aniya. So he very well could have said it about that omelet because he hates someone being nice to Aniya. Later that day, Casey was talking to Caleb, whining about how he has to be a man and tell Aniya his feelings face to face, and Caleb was trying to work out and didn't give a single fuck. But Casey did not be a man, of course. He did not man up. This is further proof of how Casey couldn't say things to Aniya's face. And it's further proof that he was too pussy to pursue Soul. Aniya was complaining about how she had the best conversations with Carl. Then we got to listen to fake-ass Zach. He's getting an edit again now that he's not booed up with racist girl. Zach telling Aniya that it's not that Casey didn't care about her, which is just, it's not true. Zach knows that's a lie. He was all up in Casa, hearing everything Casey was saying. And it's in the actions too. Like, I've seen people ask, how's Casey being disrespectful? Are we watching the same fucking show? He's coming back from Casa, not even talking to Aniya. We could just put it up against evidence of every other person on this show in history. Like, Casey's acting like the most immature guy in the history of this show, not being able to have a conversation with his original couple after coming back from Casa, and doing it in an underhanded, slimy way, now he won't even have a conversation with Aniya. Yes, that is disrespectful, especially when you hold it up as evidence against every other guy in the history of this show. Aniya still feeling low and insecure herself, doesn't feel beautiful or respected. Sincere, in my opinion, also being a terrible friend, giving her no positive words in this conversation with her. But also Sincere is truly, how do I say this nicely, unintelligent. So I'm sure he doesn't know better, maybe. Aniya pulled Titi to talk about the things with Casey. Titi understands, she says, although she did not shut her ass up when Casey was being addressed at the recoupling. Aniya told Titi that all the beef is towards Casey, not her. Titi saying that no man is worth all of that, although at the same time, Titi thinks that she is on the come up with the guy calling her South Central girl in comparison to Aniya, but okay. Corbin is then the one who is asking about Aniya exploring and the Carl stuff, and they talked to Gall about it. Corbin being the one trying to find a reason to make Casey not seem like a villain here. Corbin told Casey that Aniya was exploring and kissing the guy every morning, which is not true, and that the guy was a perfect match. So this is an excuse for Casey to say, I feel fine about all of this now. And I guess further to pussy out on having a conversation with Aniya. Corbin and Sincere had this conversation about how they feel cooked, and the girls are calling Corbin a liar and a piece of shit. And Corbin was talking all that shit at the beginning of Casa. They got to see it on video. I actually think Corbin feels rattled for once, because I truly believe he thought he was going to be able to come back and still play that player game, but people now see him more as a piece of shit rather than a fun time. Plus, in this episode, Parmida said Corbin has a stinky ass mouth, so that's another strike against him. Trinity was explaining her issues to Parmida, that it's not with her, it's with Corbin, and that Parmida is currently in the honeymoon phase with Corbin, which is true. Parmida saying that she doesn't want to treat Corbin on past experiences. The thing I got from these scenes is Trinity always compliments the women, like she did again here. Also beating those mean girl accusations. Trinity was complimenting the Casa girls when they entered for the heart rate challenge, for anyone that wants to go back and see that proof. Again, the Casa girls were the one talking shit about the Villa girls, but the Villa girls are the mean girls. People took that narrative early on because Soul doesn't know how to get along with people, and they were wrong then, but they were still trying to push that narrative now because they don't want to admit that they were wrong. But this episode showed them that they were wrong. And people will say, well, production probably interfered. Well, it was the same fucking night. The whole time, clearly, the girls were upset with the guys. Clearly, Trinity was trying to talk to Casey. Titi just wanted to fight back or fight for her man. Either way, there was never any proof that the girls in the villa were going against the girls in Casa and were going to bully them. It's all these conspiracy theories that too many people had without actual proof, which is why I don't like when the bully word gets thrown around, especially when you don't have actual proof and it's just a conspiracy theory. Once again, very Fox News-like. Trinity and Titi made up after Titi apologized. I didn't love it for TV purposes. I kind of wanted these two at least have a rivalry for another episode or two, but it is what it is. Trinity and Bryce had their conversations. They felt like it was so long away from each other. These were the two yearners we talked about. Bryce did talk about seeing her kissing in the photo booth, and Bryce made a joke that he was depressed that she licked another guy's toe and not his. Bryce also was telling Casey's business again about how Casey was not only exploring with TT, but with Sydney as well, telling this to Trinity, as he should. Someone showed me a video of a popular YouTube channel trying to blame Bryce for Casey and Aniya's breaking up because he told Trinity Casey's comments about the America's vote, and then Trinity told Aniya, if Bryce playing telephone could break up your couple, then it was built on nothing. It's also just another way of babying KC and pretending his own actions and words haven't played a part in their demise. Also, I talked about this when it happened, like a week ago or a week and a half ago or more. Casey is always talking shit with the guys, and it's usually about Aniya. Again, like I said then, I'll say it again now. That is Casey's fault for always doing that. Even with people like Caleb in this episode, talking about how he needs to man up with Aniya and have a conversation and talk about his feelings. He's talking to Caleb about this, who didn't give a fuck. And again, here is KC. He still can't talk to Aniya to her face. So I thought that theory was a sincere, aka unintelligent, aka stupid as fuck. I do gotta say my piece on Trinity and Bryce though. I've always felt like they've had goofy chemistry and friend chemistry. Their communication with each other is top notch. But they do not have physical chemistry. Though that is something that can be worked on, maybe when they're not on national television. Plus, Trinity did get French fries from Bryce, apparently, in this episode, aka his fingers. So that could be a step in the right direction. But it seems like Trinity hates kissing Bryce's turtle tongue too, because they're doing these pecks all the time now. Which is honestly fine and all. I like pecks, but like, how does that bode for their overall physical relationship? I'm not so sure. Melanie and Sincere. They're back together and I hate it. Melanie telling him about all the guys telling her she deserved better. Melanie asked him how much he kissed while in Casa. He, of course, lied per usual, saying it was just a few times. One day, she is going to ask this man if she can smell his dick. And then she's going to smell it and she's going to be like, oh, why does it smell like soap? You know, instead of just accepting that he is a liar who is always playing around on her, messing around, Sincere talked about, oh, I gave you a flower. He gave a flower to Amora on her way out too. So just another bullshit thing that he does with every woman. Melanie is saying that Sincere is fucking up their connection. He doesn't follow through, how Bryce wasn't even cuddling. Sincere said that she's right, and yet Sincere doesn't change. It's just more bullshit coming out of Sincere's mouth. Melanie walked away. Sincere sat there and complained and said, he does something, he's the bad guy. He doesn't do something, he's the bad guy. What does he not do? What does Sincere not do? This is why I say Sincere is stupid, because he is. If he is not talking in an analogy, he doesn't make sense. And actually, half of his analogies are stupid too. So Melanie was crying because Titi had told her that Sincere was in bed kissing and grinding with Amora. Melanie's crying because she likes him so much, but then when it's time for him to show her he cares, he doesn't. So Melanie feels stupid and like nothing ever changes, which I guess is progress in her thinking and her realizations. Then we had bitch-ass Zach again, saying that Melanie ruined a good moment when it was all bullshit, because Zach is bullshit too. And Sincere is like, I didn't bring her back. Okay, you still did the same thing you did with Soul. It was rinse and repeat. As my girlfriend said, these guys want to be praised for doing the bare minimum. That is really what it's coming down to. But honestly, a lot of them aren't even hitting the bare minimum, in my opinion. Kayda and Zach discussed his 3 kisses with racist girl. Kayda learned he also cuddled and kissed. Zach making his usual joke saying, you know what, we're not a real thing. We had Kayda in confessional saying, Zach is not out of the doghouse, but I'm like, shut up. He's clearly out of the doghouse. You're over there hugging him already. Kayda is honestly a woman version of a simp, I fear. Kayda did talk about the big guy Che, and I think this was her way of trying to make Zach jealous. Zach was then telling Kayda he loves her, and then the next day, Zach is saying he was joking about the L word. And it's true, he had to be joking, because there's no way Zach loves her. Zach doesn't even other L word her. He doesn't even like her. I think Zach and Kayda are lame. Like, someone tell me, is this just a modern Gen Z couple relationship? Because if so, I do feel sorry for that generation, because this is so hollow. Like, there is nothing there emotionally, physically, communication wise, and yet Kayda is head over heels for him. And I really do believe that Kayda is head over heels for him, which I hate for her, but it's her own choices. Megan Thee Stallion came for the challenge. I didn't really like the challenge. I do have some things in my notes here. Well, obviously, the highlight to me was Casey's voice crack.
If I had multiple cakes.
This is that Casey aura, bro. So fucking funny when I saw this in the first look to the episode before the episode aired. This is the guy that just did his big one, plotted revenge on Aniya, talked nonstop negativity about Aniya, came back, let Titi do the fighting for him, did not stick up for Titi when she was getting yelled at, can't man up now and have a one-on-one with Aniya. Now he's in the spotlight trying to talk smack to all the girls, and his voice cracks.
Multiple cakes.
Casey was trying to cake Trinity. He missed. Trinity came for Casey and his bullshit. Meg asked Casey if he pursued TT respectfully. He was trying to make excuses. Then she said, does he remember Casa? Or has he checked up on Aniya after? Aniya said he's a coward. And is. He has been one the whole time. Honestly, one more Casey take, because I know it pisses the slow hose off. Casey had so much animosity for the women during this challenge, making comments about Kenzie, telling Kayda to sit her ass down, really not beating those red pill allegations. But furthermore, the personality change in Casey is night and day. Casey's personality, aka his fake ass persona in the first few weeks, was a guy giving so many nice affirmations, talking about the blueprint, the dark-skinned black woman, how they get the short end of the stick. And now he won't even have a conversation with Aniya. Has talked trash about her for a week now. We haven't even seen all of it, and all he and Corbin do is have animosity for the women, mostly for Aniya. I don't know why Corbin is always on Aniya's ass too. Even the slowest of people gotta admit they were wrong about Casey. Like, it's okay to be wrong. I thought Casey was cool for the first 2 weeks. I was wrong. You can admit it. It's going to be okay, instead of doubling down on stupidity for the most immature guy to ever be cast. The big twist is Carl and Amora voted back by the fans. Amora is going to be more bad news for Melanie, though. She did say on After Sun she was over sincere and would rather go for someone like Caleb. And I kind of hope she does, though she is not Caleb's type whatsoever. But maybe she could spice up Caleb's life for a week. Melanie needs to move on with someone like Caleb, but again, I don't think Melanie is Caleb's type either. And he's so boring, but like, I do think one of those women could spice up his life at least, compared to this blonde girl whose name I always forget. The question is, will Carl reconnect with Aniya? I mean, I think so. I think he does like her the most. Hopefully now that Aniya knows that Casey ain't shit, she can actually really explore with Carl. They have a lot in common. They are the same speed, as I've been saying the whole time Carl was there. Honestly, I want to see how Carl meshes with the guys, because he is emotionally mature. Also just mature, period. He was like the leader on the After Sun episode with the other Casa guys when they were hyping up immature shit and stupidity. Carl would have a different take, and they would then agree with him like sheep. So how will this maturity of Carl's mesh with the likes of KC, Corbin, Zach, Sincere? I don't know. I even think he's more mature than Bryce. So I have hope that Carl can bring more maturity to this season, because it's been rough watching these men. Like, as a collective, I do think these are some of the worst men to ever be cast on the show, because there's a lot of outward dislike of women, period, and yet this is supposed to be a love show. And where is the love? Because outside of Bryce and Trinity, it's bleak